Scorpio, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome, and if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for all your likes, shares and subscribes. So you've probably noticed that I'm doing the readings in different orders, and what I'm trying to do is not give any one zodiac sign preference. I'm just starting with whatever the sign of the lunar phase is, looking at the opposite sign and then working from the signs on either side until I get to the middle of each. And I think that's just, fairer. That's my kind of Libra and fairness coming out. But anyway, let's get into your reading. I've had a piece of copper sitting on your cards because I'm hoping to attract in that lovely Venus in Cancer, abundance and kind of loving heart-based energy. Yes, let's get into your reading. So I have also, in other news, I have redesigned my cards because they have been quite difficult to read on the screen. So those are with the printers at the moment, and I hope to have them for my next full moon forecast in a couple of weeks. So you'll have to let me know if they are easier to read and if you like them. On the whole, it's fair to say that the last couple of full moons in particular in June and July, July and August haven't been that easy. But astrologically, this is a much more positive lunar phase that we're moving into. That new moon in Leo's got a lot of positive aspects, so I'm hoping that this will be reflected in your reading. But if it isn't, I think what it's telling me and you is that there is a kind of disconnect between the above and below, between the 3D and the 5D, and that usually is because something is out of alignment. That's what I've been picking up through all the readings that I'm kind of doing. If our lives are not reflecting the astrology, it's probably because something is out of alignment, and we need to just come back into balance, balance above and below. Give those a good shuffle. Okay, I think that's good enough. Let's cut the cards. And also apologies if you hear any noise, but it's extremely humid out at the moment, and it's affecting my computer. It keeps sort of crashing. I don't think the hard drives like it. So we don't want to interrupt recording all the time. Anyway, let's get into your reading. Right, so it looks as though you are going into this particular new moon phase feeling like you want things to shift. You're also contemplating possibly a change of direction because Via is about the road. So of course the road can be windy. You can do a U-turn on the road, or you could be sort of feeling like you know where you're headed and you want to kind of get going. Right, and then when it comes to family and home, it looks as though you're feeling particularly scorpionic. So this is Rubeus, which is Mars in Scorpio, the old ruler of Scorpio. And it's fair to say that there may be a little bit of either drama when it comes to family members, or it's possible that you're feeling a little bit of cabin fever. Maybe you are getting a bit tired of lockdown. If you are still restricted in terms of movement, you may be pacing the floor, champing at the bit to sort of get out, have a change of scene. So yes, we'll find out more as we go along, but it may be a good idea to just do a little bit of exercise or something just to release a little bit of steam, get you out of that funk. Right, so when it comes to relationships, particularly significant others, it looks as though you are feeling more supported, or if you aren't at the moment, you will be by the end of this 2-week phase. So this is Fortuna Minor. It is the Sun in Leo, and of course that is the sign of this particular new moon. So that I think bodes well. Fortuna Minor is about fortunate changes in circumstances, positive, like progress. It can also be about feeling supported and loved and protected by others. So that's really, really good. It can also be about favors, people doing you favors. Okay, and then career, it looks as though for some of you Scorpios, you are either looking at running for a position in political office, being a community leader, or doing something that involves the public. So this could be performance of some kind, either kind of in the arts, or like stand-up comedy, or public speaking of some kind, or it may have something to do with crowdfunding. Whatever project you have on your mind, It has to do with popular trends or with some kind of platform that involves a lot of people coming together to work on something to sort of like simultaneously. But we'll find out more once I've done the conversion. So just hang 5 and I'll be back shortly. Welcome back, Scorpio. As you can see, I've done your conversion, so let's get into your reading in more detail. Okay, so interesting reading. The new moon is going to be in your 10th house, which is, as I said, the house of fame, honors, and goals. So this can be about soul purpose as well as about career. It's basically your future direction of travel, where you want to be heading. And here we've got populace, which is the moon in Cancer, so it is lunar, but it's about the kind of lunar in the sense of the collective. So possibly this is the start of some kind of community project here, as I said. Something about your career, it involves either public service or the community itself. So and it's sort of the collective effort of a group of people. And this seems to be important because it's the outcome of your reading. So definitely a new cycle starting for you here. And it's interesting because we've got Rubeus repeated twice here, which you've got in your 4th house. And of course, the 4th and the 10th house are considered to be an axis in astrology. So this is considered to be the tree almost. So the roots of the tree are down here with your home and your family or where you live. And then the branches are what the public see. So this is private, this is the public side. And this is where you can kind of shine. So if your foundation is good, then it allows the tree to grow tall and to spread out its branches and to bear fruit. But if things are rotten kind of at the core, then we have problems. There's not, growth. And I think that what this reading seems to be pointing to is some kind of problem in the area of home, family, roots, or where you base yourself, or something that's inherited. So this can be, genetic inheritances, either positive like diseases or, positive like skills or gifts, or it can be negative like diseases or health conditions. And I kind of feel as though what this reading is really asking you to do is kind of refocus, to almost zoom out, because something in this area is really bothering you, or you're kind of surrounded by energy that's toxic. So it could be something in your environment, for example, that's not great. This could be, for example, some kind of something in your neighborhood that is, say, poisoning the groundwater. It could be flooding. It could be political unrest. It could be, as I say, toxic relationships or difficulties with family members. But something is not kind of right here, and your attention is being kind of drawn to this. Now, as I say, this is Aquarius energy, so this is where that full moon was, the last full moon that we had at the beginning of August. So you may want to cast your mind back to that period, because something from then is more than likely being is unfinished here, shall we say. But at this new moon, the elementals are asking you to focus more on the wider picture. So it's almost zooming out from the clan, so where you live, your roots, to the branches. So to zooming out to the wider perspective. So this is the collective, your soul family, rather than your blood family, for example, or it's this sort of the global perspective rather than just the local perspective, if that makes sense. So because that is where you are going to find the light in this particular reading. The sun, the moon, and Mercury will all be in the sign of Leo. So that's where the energy is going to be concentrated, and that's where you can make progress and sort of inroads. And it's interesting that we've got here at the top half of the chart, we've got Populus and Rubeus again. So here Rubeus in your 9th house can point to things like education, religious or spiritual beliefs. It can also point to legal matters or your moral compass, as well as things like publishing and foreign connections, so things that are at a distance from you. Whereas Populus is here in your 12th house. This is the house of the psyche. It's the house of where we connect to all that is. So this is kind of like, if we are the drop in the ocean, this is the ocean. This is where we connect to the source of all that is. So I think it's really asking you to make that shift mentally, subconsciously, spiritually, to move out of anything that is kind of conditioned by like social norms or values, perhaps beliefs that you've inherited from your particular like culture, race, religion, that kind of thing. So it's to slough that off and to kind of to see the wider picture, to see almost humanity, what we all have in common as human beings, rather than the sort of the inflections that get put onto us by social programming, basically. So I think that's one very important message that's coming through, because look, we've got blocks here when it comes to 11th house. So this is group activities, and then 8th house is kind of joint activities that we do with one other person. So on some level there is kind of blocks here, or some sort of sense of delays, restrictions, or impediments. So this can have to do with boundaries, of course, because these are two interfaces where we interface our energy with others, either in a group setting or in a one-to-one setting. And so on some level there's a block. So this could be, for example, if it's one-to-one, it could be a lack of trust, or some, or where you feel as though somebody's not sharing, or they're not willing to sort of do their part. And then here in 11th house, it can be blocks just in terms of maybe not being able to congregate, for example, due to COVID-19 restrictions. It could also be, maybe, political restrictions. Maybe your organization or the group that you belong to, there's kind of like censorship, or you've been forbidden from meeting, or something of that ilk. But there's blocks in that arena. So yes, just something to bear in mind in terms of the overall energies that are ongoing from that August full moon that we had a couple of weeks ago. But then getting back to the astrology, so this particular Sun, Moon, and Mercury conjunction is going to be making a trine to some of the other planets, which should be very, very positive. So the first one is a trine to Mars and Aries. Now, for you, that is in your 6th house, which is the house of work, health, as well as your everyday routines and habits. So there's an opportunity here for you to make some changes when it comes to those things. And look, we've got Veer here, which is all about forward movement. So I think it's kind of imitating that Mars and Aries that just wants to kind of go, to make fresh starts, to make things happen, basically. So, when it comes to work and jobs and health, I do feel as though there's going to be positive forward movement there for you. And that is really what you are focused on if we look at your, what energy you kind of come in with. So that is your intention as you go into this new moon, and I do think you will achieve that. So that's positive. The other positive aspect that's happening is a trine and a sextile to the nodes. So the nodes are currently in Gemini and Sagittarius. So for you, that falls in your 8th house and your 2nd house. So this is the house of resources and of material possessions. So this is your income and possessions, and this is those material resources that you share with others. Now, this can also be about emotional resources. So it can be about things like trust and intimacy. And here there's a sense of loss. So it could be that when it comes to earned income, you've had reduced income, perhaps due to events beyond your control related to COVID-19 and its economic consequences. But there's definitely been a sense of kind of loss, or having to cut your losses. Perhaps you've lost a job, and that may be why there is movement here. But there's also possibly a sense of not valuing yourself kind of enough, not seeing the value of your skills and your personal qualities. That's the other thing. This can be about self-worth. But now, we've got Sagittarius here, so you're being asked to let this go. The South Node is all about release. So let any kind of sense of lack go. And that's what a miss here is all about, is loss and lack. So it's cutting your losses, literally cutting your losses. And then Gemini over here in your 8th house is about the new and fresh starts happening. So cards say here could be about setting boundaries. And that could be important particularly if you've got drama with family. And maybe there's some kind of conflict going on around shared resources such as a property or a legacy, for example, inheritance. Maybe there's some kind of arguments, or maybe there's been a delay in sort of like carrying out the last wish, will, and testament of somebody. Or it could just be that you feel as though there's been unfairness on some level, abusing assets, or feeling cut off, restricted from resources that you should be able to kind of dip into that are, kind of like shared. But, I do feel as though when it comes to one-to-one relationships, there doesn't seem to be antagonism here. It seems to be more to do with family. So I kind of feel as though there are people that can help you when it comes to these restrictions if you ask. So this will be somebody that you are in a contractual relationship with, like an agent, a lawyer, an accountant. It could also be a business partner, or it could be a good friend who perhaps has skills that can help you at this point. So ask for help when it comes to, one-to-one relationships, and this could help to resolve, some of these issues. And then the final aspect that is very important here at this new moon is a sextile between Venus in Cancer and Uranus in Taurus. Now, Taurus, of course, is your 7th house, and as I said, I do feel as though there is some positive change or help, fortunate shifts happening when it comes to, your significant others. So Venus in Cancer is here in your 9th house, and it looks as though things are looking a little bit fraught here. So, basically, this Venus-Uranus sextile is about positive changes. That's literally what it's about. And, if we think that Venus in Cancer is essentially a sign that gels very well with your energy, it's kind of fellow water energy. I do feel as though, shifts, positive shifts are possible now. So, if you've got a family member at a distance that you are having a bit of drama with, I do feel as though you can make positive shifts to change that dynamic, with perhaps the help of a third party, maybe an intermediary of some kind, perhaps with somebody who is able to mediate more formally for you, or, perhaps a lawyer that can just sort of like issue a few like a legal letter or something, kind of laying out what your rights are, and kind of explain that they can't do X or Y, that it's kind of against the law, because this can be about legal matters. But as I say, I do see positive shifts happening in that arena, because of that lovely sextile. Now, I should also point out that Uranus has recently gone retrograde, so this may have to do with a past matter, an ongoing matter from the past, or it could be that this person who can help you is somebody from your childhood, or somebody that you've got a history with, basically. Or it could simply be about a shift in your perspective, that you allow yourself to ask for help, because let's face it, Scorpios are very, very proud individuals, so it's sometimes difficult to ask for help, but help is here if you ask for it. So that's, I think, a positive thing. But yes, I think kind of getting back to the overall energy of this new moon, it is very positive. The Sabian symbol is a new dawn. So I do feel as though, even though the energy around you is a little bit fraught, I think, Scorpio, you can handle this energy. You're not unfamiliar with drama, shall we say, and you're a very resilient and resourceful individual. And I think this is being also emphasized by Rubeus, which is that Mars and Scorpio energy. So I think this can also be about not just drama, but it can also be about kind of focus, like determination, grit in the face of difficulties, not sort of giving up too easily or walking away, but being willing to kind of push through and to sort of like work through things. And then, your outcome, as I say, is about Populous, which is about community, it's about collective effort. It's also about like the tried and tested way, like not feeling as though you have to reinvent the wheel. And as I say, taking that wider perspective, because I think if you do, I think solutions are going to sort of like come through, and things can improve. I mean, it's interesting to me here that at the bottom of your reading, we've got Counter-Draconus here in your 5th house, so letting go of something to do with either a child or to do with a lover. So, you know, maybe some of these difficulties have to do with that. And it's emphasizing this Sagittarius energy of kind of release. And then we've got in your 3rd house, Puella, which is about harmony in communication, self-expression, and outlook. So I do think that if there is this shift of perspective, if you do this kind of zooming out and you see things from a wider perspective, it may also shift you into a more peaceful, harmonious place within your own mind. And from there, I think the way that you communicate with others will improve, and you will see the way forward when it comes to you know, how to resolve any, you know, break through any restrictions here and resolve any family drama that's kind of going on. It could involve a relocation, possibly, you know, if there is drama here with where you live, it may involve a relocation. But I'm thinking more, given that, you know, the rest of the geomantic figures, that this is probably more to do with a shift in what you value, or what your beliefs are. You know, in terms of social values, shifting out of that energy and kind of seeing, well, maybe that's very restrictive. Maybe, you know, that's not my soul tribe. That I might have grown up with those beliefs, but I don't necessarily, they don't resonate with me. And kind of going with more human values that sees things from a much wider perspective, and that appreciates diversity, because of course that is the other inflection of Populous, is diversity. So interesting reading, Scorpio. Do let me know in the comments how this has kind of worked for you. Just bear in mind that, you know, this is a 2-week period, so things may start one way at the new moon and then progress slowly into better energy, because this is a positive time astrologically. Certainly we're moving out of that difficult energy that we had you know, from the first half of August into much calmer waters, and I think that will start to be reflected in your life as the weeks progress. So do bear that in mind. But anyway, I'm wishing you all the best for the upcoming you know, waxing moon phase. If you've enjoyed this, please hit the like button, and thank you for all your subscribes and your support, and I'll catch you again in a fortnight for your full moon reading.